business on here.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the February 22nd Summerland District Council meeting. First of all, first order, adoption of the minutes of February 9th, please. Councillor Carlson, Councillor Trainer, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Resolution to adopt tonight's agenda. That agenda be adopted and amended. Councillor Peak?
We have to amend it first?
Pardon me?
No, late item.
Oh, we have a late item in between. I'm sorry, yeah. That's the,
Is this microphone?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a late item. It's correspondence regarding School District Number 67, possible Summerland school closures, and I would suggest we put that under new business, item 13.1.
So I think that the late item is the discussion on school board closures, and along with that, there is some correspondence.
Some correspondence, yeah.
okay. 13.1, thank you. Okay, with that, adoption of the agenda as amended, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Councillor Peak, all in favor? Thank you. Carried. Moving ahead to, we have no hearings tonight. And into delegations. So it gives me great pleasure. The very first thing we're going to do is a special presentation to our fire chief, the 25-year-long service award to Glenn Noble. Glenn. This is where I get to see whether you really can pack me out of the building or not. Okay. I'd like to congratulate our Fire Chief Glenn Noble, who's been recognized in the Office of the Fire Commissioner of British Columbia for 25 years of dedication to the fire service. Glenn started with the Summerland Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter January 9th, 1991.
Wow.
In March of 2000, he became a part-time fire prevention officer trainee and held this position for 4 years. In November of 2004, Glenn was appointed as assistant fire chief. Lloyd Miskimen was the fire chief at that time. When Lloyd retired in 2010, Glenn assumed the position of fire chief and has continued to this day to demonstrate leadership, teamwork, safety, and professionalism. I'm proud to present this 25-year-long service award to Glenn in recognition of his commitment to fire protection in Summerland. Thank you very much, Glenn. We appreciate all your hard work.
You're going to get tweeted out there.
That's an old picture.
You're not prehistoric, Glenn. Oh, that's beautiful. We're really proud of you.
It was like pulling teeth to get Glenn here tonight. Doesn't like doing that sort of thing.
He's humble. He's humble.
Too humble. Okay, we'll move on to 5.2, a delegation, Rock Fortin and Art Dronkers concerning the Summerland Sunday Market. Rock, do we have a mic there? Oh, you do.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Thank you very much for inviting us here tonight to discuss about the Rotary Sunday Summerland Market. Once again this year, we would like, if possible, request the support and the permission from the town to close the street on Sundays in the downtown core of Summerland in order to facilitate the Rotary Summerland Sunday Market. Last year, and first of all, before I go anywhere, I would like to thank, you know what, we have Mr. Gary Hollinghead, Helen Matthews, and our Dronker here present. And sorry, Ellen with Irish, and Mr. John Bob here from the Rotary Club here is present also. Thank you. Last year was, we did a lot of work last year. For our first year, we made a small profit. And as a result of that, the money was distributed, because we're a non-profit society, distributed to the Sadie Shakespeare Festival and the Summerland Secondary Leadership weekend they do in Summerland. In fact, all the proceeds raised from the market is donated right back to the community, and the focus on youth. Last year, Mr. Drunker and myself went up to do a quick survey in the downtown core of Summerland and asked the merchant about the follow-up and asking them if it was a success or what they would like to change. Some of the requests of the merchant, they love the hour from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. This is what we'd like to request, 9 to 1 for the market. And also, one of the things that people would like a little bit more entertainment. See if we can do support entertainment and arts, which we try to train, and also the involvement in the farming community, which is just so important. And that's what distinguished the farmers market from others market on Sundays, a different area. The involvement of the farmers last year was good, but we'd like to see we'd like to see an increase this year in order to support them. We receive support from the Bottleneck Group again this year. They would like to participate, and they said they will have booth and present. And one thing we need to do, after we receive permission from the town or work with the town for the market, it would be we're going to secure a market manager, which we have no contract at the present time, but we have someone in mind. However, we just want to wait until we get permission from council before we move on forward contract. We're also securing entertainment. We already been approached by several groups that would like to participate. And we already got a full schedule ahead with every weekend something special, such as Father's Day. The long weekend in July is American holidays, and it's also the Canada Day. In fact, we like to take full advantage into our art and wine. There's many things that are in the process, but need to be explored a bit as we receive permission to move on forward. We also would like to invite the public to contact the Rotary or the Facebook page and just to have any suggestion or anything they would like to change or anything like us to do. We're more than happy to receive suggestion or anything we can do to improve the market. The draw last year from the highway was exceptional. We had a lot of people from Kelowna, West Kelowna, and I had no idea what the downtown core looked like. And I think we had a lot of repeat business. Some of the merchant said they did extremely well financially. Some said they lost lost money. But unfortunately, everybody else did fairly well. And I think the business after, like the quilt shop, the artisan, and all those other places, people didn't realize were there, and they're coming back during the week to purchase, or even coming and have a coffee at True Grains or bakery and realize and say, wow, we did not know this existed. That means it's a participating, it's not one, we're a group, a Rotarian, but we want to make sure that the town of Summerland prosper, and we want to make sure we continue to contribute to the well-being of Summerland. If you have any question, we would like to start the market this year on September. So I guess you have the date on the things. In June 12th, and we'd like to terminate the market this year based on last year's activities on September 11, which is a Sunday, a little bit shorter than last year. It's 14 weeks of road closure that we request on the Sunday between the hours of 8, and we should be out at the downtown core, the latest 2 o'clock, and it's similar to last year. I don't know if you have any question that you like.
Councillor Holmes, yes, of course, then Councillor Booth.
Thanks, Rock. How many weeks did you do it last year?
14.
14.
Yeah, we started a little later. We started on the 21st of June last year, Father's Day, and this year we're going to start a week earlier at the request of some of the vendors. So they'd like to start a little bit earlier and also trying to bring everybody start up for the big season in July and August. And I'd like to add on that we like to work with the Tuesday market also. It's not, we like to try to work in cooperation and see if we can contribute and assist each other, make sure that we're both successful.
I mean, personally, I think, well, many of us, I think, thought it was a great success and as you were saying, a great asset to the addition to the community. And just wondering if amongst yourselves, you had any discussions about maybe expanding the number of weeks, maybe longer.
Yeah, do you know what? For this year, we thought 14 weeks was, we're run by volunteers. But as we progress, we're learning. We're babies right now, and we're learning in the market, and we have a lot of input. We're hoping to have more input from other individual, but we are really working towards baby steps and trying to grow it nicely. And right now, we have a lot of positive feedback from vendors alike, and also people visiting the market because they find it wide and they can move it around. We may change a bit the setup this year, things, and we may ask, if possible, there's one thing I forgot to mention, Mr. Holmes, is the fact that we may consider possibility of called a boot trunk sale. It's very popular in England. It's when you're back, just a car, and you open the trunk, and people will see where they have their goods for sale. We'd like maybe to try maybe 4 times this year, just to see if it works. And apparently it's extremely successful in England. And some people suggested it, and we're thinking maybe try maybe the first Sunday of the month. But we haven't, again, we want to seek permission first from, but it's not a used car thing. It's just like very strategically, what's in the trunk of your car. Not sideways, but what's in the trunk of your car.
Councillor Booth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rock, it will be the first 2 blocks from Victoria?
That's
Same as
correct.
last year?
Yeah, we'd like to request the same setup as last year. We're considering maybe putting the booth in the middle of the road in order to make sure that the people visiting the market can see the business on the side of the, if you put a booth in the middle, people have to go around and again see all the business open, and they can go explore the businesses also in the same time. Like, it's possible some minor adjustment, but nothing drastic.
Was it Councillor Trainer?
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you were going to change the layout this year. So you might run the tents down the middle then?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that would look really good.
Yeah, I think so. We, like I said, baby step, we learn on the first year, and we're trying to improve every year, just trying to make it better. And the artisan shop, I even indicated they like to participate. We have a little food court in front of their place too, in order to just facilitate other things. I mean, it's community involvement. It's just not a Rotary Club of Summerland. We're just a driver, but I think it's a community involvement, just not only the Rotary Club. Everybody should participate.
Councillor Peak?
Have you found that your rates are attracting people? Because I think they're very good rates that you're charging for involvement.
That's right. And we're trying to keep the rate as low as possible, and because we like to have the vendor, and also we have a lower rate even for student or young entrepreneur that want to participate. And we will have a young entrepreneur. We like to have a weekend for young entrepreneur, young kids that want to do a booth of some kind, a display, even free or really, really, really cheap.
I like the fact that nonprofits and community groups are free as well, and will have an
Yes.
opportunity. They could fundraise or have exposure, which is a great time as well.
And we receive a lot of requests already from nonprofit society to join in order to just expose their goods and expose what they do in the community. I think it's a truly community event, is it not?
Well, congratulations. It
Oh.
was very successful. I hope it'll do it again.
We have a great team, the Rotary Club and all those people there are just fantastic.
Anybody else? I'd just like to say and congratulate yourself and all the people involved in Rotary especially. I thought it was a great event. I was down there almost, every Sunday I was in town and walked the market up and down, and I was hearing from people that it was kind of laid back. It was busy most times, and of course it got busier as the morning progressed, but I was really impressed, and I like the idea of a little more music, a little more entertainment. I think spotted through the area will be fantastic. So there's certainly lots of examples locally of people I'm sure would be pleased to participate. I know I enjoyed what you had last year, so a lot of color for a part of the week that didn't have much happening, so excellent, absolutely excellent. So, council, you have another comment?
Could I read the resolution?
Yes, you sure can.
That recommendation council pass the following resolution. 1, that the delegation from the Summerland Rotary Club regarding the Summerland Sunday Market be received for information. And 2, that the request from the Summerland Rotary Club to hold the Summerland Sunday Market on Main Street from June 12th to September 11th in 2016 be approved under the same terms as the previous agreement.
Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Trainer.
We should have asked this before. It's a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
I just noticed in here it says the assistance of a district summer student for 8 hours each Sunday.
No.
Is that something that we did last year?
No, I think it was removed. It was removed from. It was supposed to be removed. It was from 2015. It was a request in 2015, but it should have been removed in 2016.
So staff has just recommended that we, and have talked to the Rotary, that we would just provide the same assistance that we provided last year. So that's
Okay.
not included.
Okay.
That's correct.
I was just checking. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, nothing more? So, take a vote. All in favor? None opposed? Thank you. The motion's carried. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
Looking forward to activity again this year. That's great. Thank you. Okay, moving ahead to 5.3, delegation Ellen Walker Matthews and Rock Fortin again. Rehab of Giant's Head Mountain Trails.
Thank you, Mayor, Waterman, and Council, and thank you for entertaining this information session, I guess, really tonight. For those of you that don't know, I am Ellen Walker Matthews, not Helen Matthews, as my dear friend Rock Fortin likes to call me. And through a little bit of history, through a relationship with Rock, who wanted to do something on Giant's Head Mountain a few years ago when we first met, we created the Giant's Head Grind, both in terms of raising money for Giant's Head Trail, which we're going to talk about tonight, and for colon cancer. So we find ourselves, after 2 years of the race, being in an enviable position of having about $35,000, maybe a little more, but our accountant at Rotary keeps us very tight. $35,000 that we have now to spend on the mountain, as well as a $10,000 grant that we're applying for through Rotary International to add to that $35,000. So, as someone mentioned tonight, the 10,000 American dollars will probably be about $100,000 Canadian by the time it comes into the city. Anyway, and it looks very positive that that grant will be forthcoming to us. We don't have 100% assurance on that yet, but we still do have our own $35,000. So what we're seeking is agreement from council that we should continue to work with Brenda, who we've been working with up till now at Parks and Rec, and very well, I want to say. She's been a great asset and a great help in the race and getting that going and moving forward very positively. And now we'd like to make those next steps, as the mountain belongs to the city, to talk about what should be or could be done on the mountain. And so the first thing we wanted to do was seek an environmental architect to give the right plan, so that friends like Henry Seelman, we have the right vision for the mountain, so that we'll have good trails going up for walking and potentially some trail that could be there for cycling and stop some of the erosion and destruction to the mountain in a positive way that people can continue to use it. So that's really what we're here tonight to talk about, or if you have any questions. We really just want to know that the direction that we're taking is what the city wants, and that we should continue to work through Brenda to do that.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Sounds like a good move forward, so would someone like to bring that motion forward, please, to be received? Councillor Barkle?
Move the following resolution that the delegation from the Giant's Head Trail Committee regarding the rehabilitation of Giant's Head Mountain be received for information. And secondly, that the request from the Giant's Head Trail Committee to continue to work directly with Summerland's Parks and Recreation Department be approved.
Seconder, please. Councillor Trainer, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Barkle?
I really think it's great. I think you can't ignore the cyclists, because they'll be there on your walking trails whether you want them or not. So
Yes.
everything's going to have to work together.
And that's why we really feel that that's why we also want to have a straight-up trail, as well as the more casual trail, because we also know people will go straight up whether we want them to or not. So we may as well identify that and make sure that, we protect the mountain as best we can.
There's only about 2 people that can go straight up.
I beg to differ. There's 500 that go straight up on May
No,
21st
on-
this year, Peter.
On bicycles.
Or maybe 498.
I'm
Oh, yeah,
talking
on a
mountain
bicycle.
bikes.
Oh, yeah.
Counselor Carlson.
I think this is a great idea as well. The money that goes towards it, I assume it will include some signage. And is there some consideration for the longboards and the people who use the road on a regular basis as well? Is that something that comes into the discussion, or is that a separate issue?
I would suggest it's a separate issue, because we're really talking about the actual mountain trail facility as opposed to the road. Down the road, I mean, we could certainly entertain looking at that, but right now, with the funds we have, it's more for the actual trail development.
Okay, thanks.
Counselor Peak.
I think this is a great opportunity for partnerships within the community, and Giant's Head Mountain is really an attribute that we didn't acquire. It was here long before us, and the advantage of having a community group come forward and help us raise funds to make it happen is tremendous. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Janet.
Counselor Barkle.
Yes, the Giants Head Park was created in 1967 as part of our 100th centennial, and we're having our 150th centennial coming up. So I'm not sure the scale of your plans, but perhaps council hasn't talked about what we're going to do as a community to celebrate Canada's 150th anniversary, but it's a possibility here to tie into some funding that might be available for that. Jan Elvis has mentioned it once, and the park would be a natural place. Just sort of tossing that out there to keep in mind.
Absolutely. Great.
Counselor Holmes.
Yes, again, thanks as well. Of course, I think Giant's Head is an important aspect of the identity and characteristic of the community, so we need to be taking care of it. I just have a question, I think, for staff. So when we're talking about developing a trails master plan for the community, would any initiative that the group here is doing, would that dovetail into that?
It will dovetail into it, and Brenda will be aware of working on the master plan, so they'll keep that in conversation as well, for sure.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, Council?
Thank you very much.
Sounds good, thank you. I
And-
don't think you're going to be able to help me very much, on my mountain bike rides. It's not going to make the ground any softer. So,
But I do expect everyone to sign up for May 21st.
yeah, for sure. So, all in favor? Have a motion? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, would it be possible just to add on
Oh, sorry.
for the challenge,
Yeah.
for the May 21st, as the 3rd annual Giant Grind event. Last year, Helen, through the great work of Helen, over 500 people were present. And this year, we're hoping to bring that number to 600 or 700. Hopefully, we're going to work with the bike race, but we'd like to challenge the council to participate and come up to that event, the Rotary Giant Grind.
Are you going to carry me up?
We'd love to see this happen.
Do you have rickshaws?
March 21st.
You have a few options. You can bike it in the morning, you can hike it in the afternoon, you can hike and bike it if you're really crazy, and some people have already registered for that. Or on Sunday, we have a wine grind. So we'll take you in a bus to 3 of our local wineries who are donating everything, and we're giving you a tax receipt, and that money's also being donated. So there's several options to get involved.
That was May 21st, was it?
May 21st, Saturday, May 21st.
Thank you. So we'll just finish our vote. All in favor? Thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. None
Thank you
opposed?
very
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you very much. It's great. So we're moving ahead to 5.4, the delegation from Nelson Jetel and Don Gayton regarding the daylighting of Prairie Creek.
You got a wine grind,
wetland
too?
creation.
I was just going to say, who would want to follow a wine grind presentation? That sounds much better. My name's Nelson Jetel. I'm with the Okanagan Basin Water Board, and I'm here with my colleague today, Don Gayton. I understand we have about 5 or 6 minutes, so I'm just going to go over a little bit about what the project is about. I'm going to assume that you've had a chance to review some of the memo and the materials that we provided to you, but I thought we could cover some of the highlights. And then ultimately see whether or not this project fits within sort of this year's activities within the District of Summerland. So The Okanagan Basin Water Board, as many of you may know, is local government. We were formed in 1971 as an opportunity really to have collaborative issues that had value throughout communities in the Okanagan to be worked on. And the presentation I'm going to be making today about effectively restoring a wetland in Summerland is one of those projects, in part because of the connectivity that wetlands provide, and also because of the number of benefits both from an infrastructure side, whether it be drought or flood protection, or also when we're talking about fish habitat and water quality. So the Okanagan Basin Water Board, because we're regional, we also scope our projects really to be able to address these 5 principles. And when we're talking about anything that we partner with local governments throughout the region, this is really the litmus test that we look to address. So thinking regionally, thinking long-term, and then sort of protecting nature for the benefit of all, anticipating change, balancing multiple priorities, and hopefully today an opportunity to practice clear communication. So as a backgrounder, and I think is something that we've mentioned in our memo, we've been working on an Okanagan wetland strategy for the last 3 years plus. The first year, we really did a simple inventory of what exists in the Okanagan. We know that over the last 100 years or so, we've lost about 83–84% of wetlands on the floor bottom of the Okanagan for a number of reasons. And we also realize that as communities grow and they're looking to be able to create both cultural and environmental amenities to their portfolio of what's in your communities, wetlands are one of those things that we're revisiting. One of the conversations that we've had in the past with a number of local governments really is this question about this opportunity that I think is in front of many local governments as we look at infrastructure funding, both for new infrastructure and replacing old infrastructure, to be able to start to think about how wetlands can play a significant role within our communities. Specifically, the project that we've identified as having some value here in Summerland, and something that we would love to be able to see really be initiated over the next few months, but really would require a multi-year community effort to bring to fruition. And it's really this concept of daylighting what used to be a wetland and is now a pipe in the ground that lines Giants Head School Field, and turning it into effectively a functioning wetland. And one of the reasons why we're so excited about this project is that in Kelowna, a school has done a very similar project about 6 years ago for Fasho Creek. And I'll be showing you just quickly a couple of pictures in terms of pre and post of what they've been able to do there. What we're talking about today, though, just to be very clear, is a project that would develop the engineering design standards and diagrams in terms of what this project could look like. We have some year-end funding that we're looking to spend between now and April 1st, and we would love to be able to have some of that ultimately offset the cost to be able to do the engineering plans, and ultimately a phased approach to what this might look like. So this ultimately is what we're talking about here today. So I'm just going to very quickly go through some of the pictures. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with your own Prairie Creek here that is along the borders of Giants Head School. And I just thought it would be nice to bring some of those pictures into the boardroom. This is sort of what we'd be talking about in terms of meandering. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, this is ultimately some of the photographs of what another school has done in the Okanagan to really bring to light what used to be a pipe that ran along their school border and has done some significant work. Just to give you scope and scale, though, this project here in Kelowna, which was really spearheaded by 4 moms that did most of the fundraising, had incredible community support, cost in the tune of about $385,000. So as a community, that's sort of what you'd be looking at over the next 5 to 6 year window to be able to support. And it has done some incredible things to the region, both in terms of habitat, water quality, but also learning opportunities for the kids that effectively go on in perpetuity as long as there's kids at that school along this one location. So this is really my summary slide in terms of what this phased approach can look like. We're doing wetland projects across the region. We anticipate that phase 2 of the work that we're doing right now, which is really these hands-on initiatives to be able to create real benefits in the communities, will end within the next 18-month period. And then we're going to get into sort of this concurrent phase 3 where we're going to be developing a written Okanagan wetland strategy. The ask today is for $2,500 of cash support from Summerland District. That would leverage approximately $6,000 from us. It'll be a little bit over that. And that would ultimately get an engineered set of plans that would really be the start of a community-based initiative to be able to support a wetland in this area. So that's the project proposal and some of the dynamics that are around it. And I'd love to invite questions if appropriate, and also love to invite Don Gayton to join me for sort of additional support, especially for some of the things that relate to the history of the project within the community.
Would like to come forward, Don, in case there's any questions that you would like to respond to? Council, questions of either of these gentlemen? Councillor Barkle.
So ultimately, this would be a $300,000 or $400,000 project?
That's correct. If you're talking about daylighting the stream, you'd be looking at that sort of range of scope of sort of engineering and work throughout that area. Mm-hmm.
So would you be coming back to council for some of these funds, or is your plan to start a community campaign and raise all the funds from the community?
Well, just to let you know what happened in Kelowna, other than some of the initial engineering and in-kind support, the City of Kelowna didn't put any additional funds into that project. So in order for it to be successful, it would necessarily need to be community-driven. The other thing to mention through the chair and to the council is that we've also put some funding into a recent application, which would bring another $60,000 to the table to be able to support phase 1 of the work. So by no means would I suggest that that's a sure, done deal, but that funding would also require, this kind of plan. It's one of those things where this is really ground zero. What could a plan look like? What could phased work look like? And how is it that a community project really rally around something that was based in an engineering standard? So yes.
Go ahead.
So you're, right now, at one point, the District of Summerland, paid all the money to put the pipe, or the creek in a pipe there. And now you're suggesting we take it out of the pipe. Why does it cost so much money to just remove the pipe and let it flow down and then let nature take over and turn it back to what it was?
Well, there's a number of factors that come into play. Can you do a scaled down version? Absolutely. I'm not suggesting that that's what you would spend here. I'm just telling you, effectively what was spent on the Kelowna project for a similar stretch. What does it involve? It involves everything from the equipment to the planting to ensuring that it's engineered properly. And even though it may seem like just pulling out a pipe and letting it go natural, there's a whole bunch of aspects, especially as it borders a school. So there's safety impacts that are important. The other thing, of course, is because we're talking about seasonal flows that vary significantly throughout the year, it needs to be engineered to a certain level that allows for both the flooding during freshet and then some of the dry periods so that you sort of enable for that new habitat to retake. So that's the scope and scale of what's taken place in the Kelowna area.
I think it's important to recall that Dale Meadows, before it was Dale Meadows, was Barclay Swamp, and it was about 300 hectares of marshland. And subsequently, the creek was diverted, the land was farmed up, and then it became partly residences and partly ball fields and so on. But we did have a very significant marsh at one point prior to 1900. So we're trying to recapture a very small part of that.
Councillor Carlson?
In doing this, would it move the water better through what is currently a pipe? Would it make the water flow, and perhaps when the water table is quite high, move more of that water out from where it currently pools? Do we know?
So the question is, we're not sure, but that's exactly what this study would tell. So effectively, the engineering outcomes would really hit at least 2 or 3 categories. One of the interesting issues here is whether or not there's opportunities to have this project as part of a bigger climate change initiative within the community, and I think that's sort of an important piece that could be brought to the table. The ability to mitigate flooding in that area would definitely be a question that would be covered off by this work. And similarly, we often talk about this concept that the huge value of creating wetlands and communities is the opportunity to slow and sink water into the ground. And so one of the things that would be interesting also within this study is to be able to look at what is the groundwater contribution in that area as a result of taking it out of that pipe and putting it back into its natural system. So by no means do I have the answers to some of those questions, but I think those would be critical parts of this really small study to look at what are some of the values to the community for doing this kind of project.
Councillor Peak, did you have a question?
No,
Councillor?
yeah,
Okay, Councillor Peak.
Don, could you perhaps elaborate a little more on the benefits of the wetlands? Because certainly I feel a demonstration project within the center of a civilized area really has an opportunity to show that. And thereafter, we would look for champions to be able to bring this kind of thing along.
Well, wetlands are remarkable. If you create them, the response is almost instant in terms of vegetation and birds and insects and amphibians. And as a former grassland guy, I'm kind of jealous of wetlands because it takes 20 years for a grassland to respond. It takes about 1 year for a wetland to respond. So, and it is a perfect, I think, both for the kids on the Giant's Head side and the adults using the ball fields and the running track and so on. It's a natural outdoor education laboratory where you can see, birds and frogs and salamanders in their own natural habitat. And, I think wetlands are just one of those things that we spent a long time throughout North America getting rid of them because they're messy and they're inconvenient and so on. Now we have a chance to bring back what was a significant part of the Okanagan Valley in a very small fraction. But the nice thing about wetlands is, if you've got 300 or 400 square feet of wetland, it can be a functional habitat for a number of species, including some rare species.
Thank you.
Councillor Holmes? No, nothing? Anybody else?
Just
Councillor
have one
Boo?
question. How long is that stretch from end to end that's shown in the figure there?
The culverted stretch from my very basic Google Earth measurements is about 130 meters. But you wouldn't want to do the whole thing. If you can back up to the, I would suggest that portion, which is about 60 or 70 meters.
Oh, I see, that's different. Yes.
You'd want to leave a walkway from the ball fields over to the school field. There's also a possibility of perhaps diverting further into that triangle there, maybe making a separate pond there for a fishless pond for amphibians. But that again would depend on. But I think the important thing that Nelson emphasized, that this is a conceptual study that we'd like to get done and give back to council to see if it's feasible, if you folks think it's the right idea. And then there's no commitments involved. We want to just, get a high-level engineering study done.
Well, it also, Don and Nelson, is sort of a bit of an extension of a lot of the activities around earthwork that occurred in that general area. Mm-hmm. And I expect, you'd be looking at planting some species in there that will populate and expand as well. I think our CAO had a comment.
Just a note to council, when Nelson and Don approached the mayor and I think only last week, my initial reaction was that that's just too soon. We can't do planning, and we like to look at projects and at least talk to other staff about it. But as Nelson said, they emphasized that it was this conceptual plan, and I don't think that we could even evaluate whether or not it is something we want to do or not without moving forward to this. So you could see in the staff recommendation that we, the second one was that we referred recommendation was to refer it back to staff for discussion on the funding request, but later in the, because that's what we need to do as far as the proper recommendation for staff to make. But we did make a note there that timing is of the essence here, and that we would have to look at opportunities for other funding for this initial 2,500, such as potentially through the climate change funds that we have to do this, if council did think it was a project that should move forward right away. But it would just to emphasize that without having this conceptual plan, we wouldn't be able to determine whether it was something that was of interest to the municipality.
Councillor Holmes.
That's the question I would have from staff is, do we have money in our budget anywhere, like such as climate action? Or
I mean, typically we use the climate action funds through the committee, through a committee to determine the disbursement, but it's completely within council's purview to allocate those 2,500.
But that committee isn't sitting.
But we're looking at options right now for the committee, so it's certainly within council's purview to allocate 2,500 to that. And the finance officer and I didn't even have an opportunity to talk about other options of other funds. That's probably the most suitable for it.
Councillor Carlson? Councillor Booth and Councillor Barr?
I have no idea how much funds there are in that climate action thing, but that would not interfere with the Earth Week allocation, would
No,
it?
absolutely not. There's funds in the climate action for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Barclay?
Looking at creek rehabilitation along the east side of Giants Head School there. I don't think you can see it in that image. I'm on Google Earth right now. How's that? What's the condition of the creek there? Does it need rehabilitation, so to speak, in terms of flora and everything?
I'm going to have to get my compass directions right.
Yeah, your report, you called this the north side, but it's actually the south side of Giants Head School. And so it'd be...
Oh, where it runs,
From where-
yeah, it turns the corner and runs due north. It's basically a ditch.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a ditch for a fair ways upstream as well.
I think that might be a topic for a future discussion on that
Yeah.
portion of the creek. Right now, we're
I
dealing
did
with-
want to mention that I did present this notion conceptually to the Parent Advisory Committee of the Giants Head School, and they were very much in favor. So.
I think what's being presented here is an important start, and to have that plan in place or get working on it at least gives us a window as to whether the whole project is something that we can look forward to. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Any more questions of Nelson or Don?
One more reason to keep the school open.
Yeah. Let's stay on top. Would somebody like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Booth?
Council passed the following resolutions. 1, that the delegation from the Prairie Valley Creek Daylight Project be received for information. And 2, that the Okanagan Basin Water Board's request that the District of Summerland provide $2,500 in funding support to develop the Prairie Creek Wetland Plan be referred to staff for a future report to Council.
Is that the motion you actually intend, or did you intend to use?
I was just reading from what's here.
That's the recommendation, but what I had suggested is that council may want to approve it tonight from the climate action plan.
Yes, you did say that. Okay, so I'll change that.
Just leave off a bit.
Hang on a sec. The first part is okay, that it be received for information. That the District of Summerland provide $2,500 in funding support to the development of the plan, with funds coming from the Climate Action Committee, Climate Action Fund.
Right, so instead of saying be referred to staff, it can just say be
Yes.
approved with funding coming from climate action
Okay,
funds.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
I got that, yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? No, hearing none. All in favor? Thank you. None opposed. The motion carries. Thank you,
very
gentlemen.
much. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Looks like an exciting thing to move forward with.
Thank you very much.
I don't want to go on any further, but I'm looking forward to all kinds of stuff with that project, so. Thank you. Okay, where are we at? Okay, this is an opportunity at item 6 for public commentary on any items that are highlighted in the agenda. So anybody can come forward. Mr. Seelman. I don't have to. You can state your name if you like, Henry.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and
Just the
councillors.
name, yeah.
My name is Henry Seelman. I live at 9305 Millen Road. I'm here as the president of the Summerland Transcontinental Trail Society and would like to address council with regards to item 12.1, public process for the Transcontinental Trail designation between Bathville Road and Falder. The Summerland TCT Society has been provincially recognized trail steward of the KVR TCT trail in the Summerland region since 2002. Our group was the driving force behind the construction of the KVR trail between Summerland and Thirsk Lake. Governed by the mandate of the TCT Foundation, our work was dedicated to non-motorized use. In August 2014, the provincial minister responsible for parks and trails declared all rail trails under its mandate open to motorized use. This includes the KVR trail with the exception of a very short section between Penticton and Naramata. At the same time, the provincial ATV BC organization obtained a permit to hold its annual Jamboree alongside the KVR trail 6 kilometers west of Falder. These two events have caused a significant increase in motorized use, followed by conflicts among motorized and non-motorized users as well as residents. At the time of the ATV BCD Jamboree, I had a number of discussions with the provincial and regional trail managers, RDOS. This resulted in RDOS installing signs along the KVR trail west of Falder. The signs permitted controlled motorized use and detailed courtesy rules to minimize accidents and conflicts and to increase safety. At the same time, non-motorized signs were installed in Falder. This, however, were removed within weeks as the local ATV club engaged the provincial organization, who managed to have the non-motorized designation in Falder overturned. The ministerial letter of 2014 provides for the declaration of non-motorized use where residents' concerns and use patterns indicate preference. Our society interviewed residents along the KVR trail in Falder and monitored trail use by walkers, cyclists, horseback riders, motorcycles, quads, etc. The results clearly indicated a preference for non-motorized use. One thing we need to understand is that the trail through Falder and between Summerland and Falder is not on the rail bed, which is really exceptional because of the tracks. So we actually built a sandy, turny, curvy trail on the side of the rail bed. I presented the results to the provincial and regional trails managers with the local ATV and dirt bikes clubs in attendance. This took place exactly 1 year ago. 2 months later, Falder residents presented their concerns directly to the trails manager at the Trails BC AGM. Shortly thereafter, I briefed Emily Dan Ashton on the same topic. After much delay, it appears that finally the province and RDS intend to conduct a stakeholder meeting, which will include the province, RDS, the PIB, the District of Summerland, and local trade groups. I do hope that Council will authorize our administration to participate in this long overdue process. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Appreciate that. Okay, any other comments on any topic that's highlighted? Yes, Christine, thank you.
Christine Pecco for the Chamber of Commerce and also speaking on behalf of Tourism Summerland. I just wanted to congratulate Rotary in particular for the efforts that they have undertaken last year and the year earlier with the Giant's Head Grind and of course last year with the Summerland Rotary Market. Both of those initiatives have really contributed a great deal to vitality in our community and as well our terrific economic development initiatives that are both attractive to residents and tourists alike. The Chamber certainly and Tourism Summerland want to continue to market all of these events through the multiple channels that we use. Specifically, last year we were able to purchase market advertising in the annual BC Buy Local map on behalf of the market, and also contributed 5 hours a week of our summer student for the market activities. We've made application as part of our summer student application to do that again. So should we get a summer student, then we're happy to make that contribution as well. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say on behalf of tourism and the Chamber.
Great, thank you very much. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll Okay, I guess we're good. We'll move ahead to my report for this evening. Last couple of weeks has been pretty active as staff and ourselves have dealt with issues and projects. The initial steering group meeting for the skate park was held. Eric Thompson was selected the chair. The first steps were taken toward the schedule and planning for fundraising. The grant from the Summerland Charity Shop Society of $135,000 gives us the effort of that fundraising move a large jump in the total dollar requirements. The hope is to link skate demos with other events to promote fundraising. The area will likely have public art, outdoor fitness equipment, and in addition to that, the youth will be leading the design for the skate park itself. In fact, they had quite a lot of input with the inline company that's involved to help have some selection in the types of things that'll show up in the park. We are looking somewhat hopefully towards a sod turning late spring of next year or early summer. At the regular RDUS board meeting, a key discussion was held on the status of the Southern Interior Beetle Coalition Group. This organization was initiated to deal with the effect on economies of the interior, of the small interior communities by the mountain pine beetle. It will likely morph into a rural development group, and it's a matter of how that will be formulated and be led and so on over the next year or so, because it's really reaching sort of the end of the mountain pine beetle designation for that group, but it's been extremely useful in the projects that have been brought forward in terms of helping out the interior communities. MP Richard Cannings gave a report on his new role and activities in Ottawa. He noted that there is no new news on the status of the Penticton Airport or on the issue around legalizing marijuana. The district has been successful in their application for a $372,000 grant from the Gas Tax Strategic Priorities Fund for integrated asset management and infrastructure planning. This asset management planning is essential to be able to move forward to determine priorities for action on infrastructure. It means that we won't be doing sort of piecemeal things. We're going to do thorough planning of an understanding of what our assets are and the state of them before we move ahead. Council met with the Chamber of Commerce to discuss joint cooperative opportunities. We had a very good discussion which will lead to synergistic efforts between us to benefit the community. Council held some strategic planning efforts on the 15th and which will now be blended with budget discussions over the next several weeks. Council also met with the school board to address mutual concerns. We hope to be able to have further discussions to advance Summerland's concerns on school closures. An excellent Philosopher's Cafe was held last week. This event over the last couple of years has been an excellent way to engage the community in discussions relevant to Summerland residents. The third meeting of the Mayor's Task Force on our local economy was held. We are discussing and prioritizing our brainstorming ideas. We hope to soon have more focused opportunities to move forward with and are looking forward to opportunities for public consultation. Mr. Joe Schmoon gave a factual and amusing presentation on the history of the development of the KVR last Saturday afternoon. Approximately 100 people filled the basement of the old library. His talk was excellent as it was laced with personal and family anecdotal stories that brought the history alive. And I'd like to give thanks to the Heritage Commission for their work in arranging this speaker for Heritage Week. And that's my report. See you all.
Okay. Good stuff. I've got a couple of things, but the first one that I want to bring up, actually, we intended to bring it as a late item, and we missed it. So last week, Council had a presentation with the Riga Festival Society, by the Riga Festival Society, and referred it back to staff to meet with the society and then come back to council with a report. So since then, staff has met with the executive of the society, and we have a better understanding of their plans and partnership opportunity. And all of their requests can be accommodated through operations and working with us. So the motion that we were going to ask for, and perhaps we could still ask for it at this point, was simply that in recognition of the economic benefits of community festivals and the historical significance of George Riga to Summerland, the Riga Festival Society's proposed marginal arts festival be supported. It's just a general statement, just to have it, that you were supporting it.
Councillor
I'll move that
Crosby.
motion.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Peak. Any discussion at all? All in favor?
Great
Thank you.
opportunity.
Motion carried, none opposed.
Excellent. So then, just a couple of other things to report to council. I will be going to the Chief Administrative Officers Forum. It's being held this year in Kelowna. I'll be gone tomorrow afternoon through till Friday. It's an opportunity for the CAOs from municipalities and regional districts throughout the province to meet and talk about some of our common issues. And it's always, we have a number of speakers, and it's always very helpful in sort of brainstorming through some of the things that we're working on.
Excellent.
We wanted to bring your attention to a symposium that's coming up. Some of you may have already heard about this, but the mayor met with the organizers a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
now, and it's the solar fair. I know this, we've had a lot of interest from community or from residents on solar energy. It's a symposium on solar energy being held on March 12th at the Okanagan College Penticton campus. They've got quite an extensive agenda of lectures, displays, and tours, all regarding solar energy development in the area. So the brochures are now available, and if you want to know more about them, it's quite interesting.
What's the date on that?
Saturday, March the 12th.
Okay, thank you.
And then just the Recreation Department wanted me to mention that the Spring Recreation Guide is in the mail now, and also it will be online available March the 1st. And they have a tropical swim on March 5th for all the kids 12 years and under. And lastly, we're, all of staff is heavily involved in working on the budget at this point in time, and I just wanted to bring again to council's attention what a busy time it is, especially for the finance department, and how much it takes to bring all the pieces together when they're also going through year end, and that when you do a budget with the kind of depth that we're trying to do it here in sort of looking at the priorities that we have, looking at providing council with the best information so that you can have a thorough discussion. It's there's a lot that goes on behind the backgrounds on it, so I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much. Legislative officer, do we have anything from unfinished business to bring forward?
And maybe while you're looking for that, I could make a point that I've actually haven't officially introduced
yeah,
Tricia.
sorry.
Our new, Tricia May, our new manager of legislative services, which she's only been here for a week, as we were talking about earlier, but we've already treating her like she's been here for 6 months, so we're forgetting things like.
We're glad you're
It's all
here.
good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Sucked right in.
Yeah.
So what do we have coming up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a resolution that we are going to bring forward from the closed session today, so we're going to report out on it. And the resolution is that the option to develop the old library building at 9525 Wharton Street into an arts and cultural center be further explored, and that staff be directed to work with the stakeholders involved and report back to council at a future meeting.
Okay, somebody like to move that, please? Councillor Booth? Councillor Peak?
No, we don't. It's just being brought
Yeah,
out.
it's just being
Okay, just being brought out.
Mhm.
Are dealing with anything on it at this point?
Not unless you wanted to say anything about it at this point.
No, nothing other than it's an exciting potential. There's been quite a bit of discussion between some of the Arts Council members and with some planning and drawings of how they might use the space. And I think it's an exciting potential for the arts community. As many of you know, a new roof was put on that building, and that gives it a bit more of a life. We're looking at how things will fit down the road, but in the meantime, it'll provide some space for groups to finally get together where they're spread around. So I think this will be a great help, and I know they're pretty excited about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So are we.
Yeah. So we'll move forward to correspondence. Are there any items there that any councillors would like to bring forward? Hearing none, can someone bring forward that recommendation?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Parker.
We have a letter from the radon awareness people from the Lung Association, and anytime you get a chance to remind people that if they haven't already, they should buy a $18 kit and put it in their basement and check their houses for radon. We should remind them. And this is a reminder that we could do that. I've done it. It's easy.
You did 2 kits because you said you were that kind of person.
Yeah. And I'm still here, healthy.
That's an opinion.
Yeah. So anyhow, put that on the record.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Someone like to bring the motion forward to receive, please? Councillor Carlson?
I will move that the informational items included in the report dated for the February 22nd, 2016 regular council meeting from the Manager of Legislative Services be received for information.
Councillor Peake,
I'll second
seconder.
it.
Thank you. Further discussion, I guess? All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. None opposed. Thank you very much. Anything from 10.2, commission minutes? To be received for information. Someone like to bring that forward, please? Councillor Barkle?
We had some information from the Heritage Advisory Commission on the naming a park in Trail Creek. I'd like to ask staff, where are we going with that? And I see the native language name. I don't see an English translation or anything. What are we going to do?
When committees or commissions make recommendations, then they need to go to staff for staff to bring back a report to council that brings the recommendation and the staff background. And I understand that Development Services is currently working on a report for that one. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a number of new parks that have been recently dedicated, as well as a few other things. So the plan was to bring that together as a package with prospective names that have been recommended.
So that is the process generally, that when they actually pass a recommendation, it then follows to come to council meeting. And I think we fell off on a couple of them, and we're back on making sure that we bring any recommendation forward with the staff report.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, would someone like to bring that forward, please? Be received. Councillor Carlson?
I will move that the commission minutes included in the report dated for February 22nd, 2016, regular council meeting from the Manager of Legislative Services be received for information.
Seconder? Councillor Holmes, I think, had his hand up first. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. The motion's carried. Thank you. And opposed? Moving forward to Development Services, CAO. We're moving to...
We'll move to Director of Development Services.
Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The application before council at the moment is a subdivision within the Agricultural Land Reserve at 15244 Victoria Road. And this parcel of land is located at the intersection of Victoria and Blair Street. The property is within the Agricultural Land Reserve and is currently zoned for institutional use. The St. John Lutheran Church received approval from the ALC back in 1975 to construct their church. There was an exclusion application in 1982 that was denied by the Agricultural Land Commission. And the application before us now is the church wishes to subdivide off the north portion of their lot and divest themselves of that piece of property. There are a number of issues that come along with this one. Because the property is located within the Agricultural Land Reserve, it is limited to either agricultural use or some other use that is approved through the Agricultural Land Commission. In this particular case, the property is zoned institutional, so if it were to be subdivided, the only institutional use that has been approved by the commission is a church. So the property could be either farmed or it could be a church, unless there was some other institutional use approved through the Agricultural Land Commission. Our OCP does have policy with respect to maintaining the integrity of the ALR and notes that non-farm development should be limited to areas outside of the ALR boundary. The zoning bylaw suggests that the minimum lot size for institutional zone is 700 square meters. The proposed parcel is about 4,000 square meters, so there's no issue there. If the portion of the property was to be zoned agricultural, the minimum lot size in that zone is 2 hectares or 5 acres, so there would have to be some intricate process if that property were to be subdivided and eventually rezoned agriculture to make sure it followed in the proper process to meet the rules. Having said that, it is recognized that that piece of land currently is allowed to be institutional use, so not for farming. And it is located between a house to the north and a church to the south. So it doesn't appear to be the most viable agricultural parcel in the area. This application was presented to the Agricultural Advisory Committee in December, and they passed 2 motions. One, that the application for subdivision not be supported, and secondly, that encouragement of creative thinking around land uses that would provide income to the property owners but still fit within the existing zoning or agricultural use be explored. And so in this particular case, there are a number of options there for council to consider. Staff is not recommending subdivision be supported.
Thank you. Do you know if the applicant's here, Mr. McIntosh?
Yes, they are.
Would the applicant like to speak to this, please?
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. My name's Doug Wall. The only thing I really want to add to this one is I understand it's a really challenging issue to resolve. The other thing that I'll ask you to consider is that we are a church and we're not in the business of agriculture. We don't have the capacity within our church. I'm 52 and probably the youngest member or one of the, certainly the youngest members in our church. We do have a, as you probably know, a community garden there that is dwindling, I think, a bit in popularity, and we were proposing to move it to the south side of the church. We do support that property be used for agriculture, but it's certainly outside of our capacity to be able to make that happen. So the real only viable opportunity, I think, for us is to have that parcel subdivided off and for us to be able to dispose of that, for others to be able to use it for agriculture.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant, please? Councillor Boot and Councillor Traynor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Doug, have you considered perhaps leasing it for agricultural purposes rather than, parceling it and then selling off that portion?
We have not looked into leasing opportunities.
Might be a consideration. I know that there are people out there that are looking for affordable land to farm on.
Yeah, if you look to the immediately to the east, there's.
Oops, sorry. Oh, I lost it here. 1 second.
Timed out.
I'll just continue. If you look to the east, there is agriculture land there that is not being utilized. But really, I haven't looked into that. I suspect it may be a challenge, but maybe I'm wrong and maybe there's an opportunity there. It's not really, again, looking at our capacity in the church and the membership. And I would say the average age is probably about 70 at least. Our ability to do that sort of work is pretty limited.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting within the congregation, but somebody outside of the congregation that might be interested in leasing. That's what I was.
Yeah, and
asking.
I guess the other aspect is the infrastructure that would go along with in terms of the irrigation setup is not been developed for any type of agriculture, really.
I think Councillor Traynor, did you?
Councillor Boot asked my question.
Okay. Councillor Carlson.
Just to follow what you just said, if there's no infrastructure for irrigation, does the property have irrigator water rights?
Yes, it does.
So it's got an allotment of water. If someone wanted to, they wouldn't have to go through a process.
Well, you know, I don't have the specifics on that. I'll introduce this Pastor Michael Colbeck. Do you know, Pastor, if there is a separate allotment?
We do have a blue box on the, well, we do have irrigation water on the property, which could be utilized. It's not only being utilized at the present for the community garden.
Thanks. Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
Just wondering, it was one of the suggestions, I think, maybe from the Agricultural Advisory Committee was that perhaps one of the neighboring farm properties might be interested, and we could combine the lots with their lots. Have you had any discussions with any of the neighboring farms to see if they'd be interested?
No, we haven't. Nothing formal. There was some informal indication that there might be some interest on the property to the north, but I haven't spoken directly to that. That was third hand.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Peak?
I'll direct this to Ian, if I might. The size of the property, were it to
Thank you,
be
Deb.
separated off, is less than the lands that would normally be committed for agriculture?
That is correct.
Is it still not possible to do intensive agricultural land production on a smaller lot? Because certainly the reading I've done would allow for it.
Mr. Mayor, it's certainly possible. The difficulty is a technical one in that the approving officer cannot sign a plan that creates an agricultural lot that's less than 5 acres, because that's the minimum lot size in the zoning bylaw. However, there is process that we could use that would remove that obstacle. It just is a bit complicated. But we could subdivide it as an institutional parcel, which doesn't have that same lot restriction. There's a requirement, of course, to extend the sewer and build curb and gutter sidewalk along there. Again, if that were waived, the subdivision could be approved, and then the remaining portion could be zoned agriculture, because council isn't bound by the same policy that the approving officer is, so they don't have to worry about lot size. And then once the parcel is zoned agriculture, it could be sold and used for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Someone like to bring that motion forward? Councillor Carlson?
I will move that the application to subdivide land within the Agricultural Land Reserve for Lot B, DL 3640 ODYD Plan 16919, located at 15244 Victoria Road, not be supported.
Seconder? Councillor Barkman? Thank you. Councillor Carlson?
I think that this situation is a complicated, difficult one, and it's not going to be the last time that it comes up before us, especially when we're looking at properties that are in the ALR zone institutional. So if possible, I'd like to see a conversation started about what might the community like to see and how could we keep that land as land while ensuring that all of these churches and institutions might be able to continue to run as they are, and really a win-win for both parties. But as you know, I can't vote in favor of taking land out of the ALR, especially not land like that that could be very usable or perhaps amalgamated with a neighboring property. I think that that's another conversation that should be had, and if there is no interest and we don't get anywhere, then we should keep talking about it and see what happens.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think if that was subdivided as a separate lot, you'd end up with a big house on there with not too much land being farmed, and I would like to see the church have discussions with the neighbors and about amalgamating the land with the neighboring farm property, so the whole land could be farmed.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Barkle?
I agree. There's a lot of options that need to be explored. Subdivision would be the very last option, and it seems to be, it's not even a weighing conflicting sort of guidelines or principles. There doesn't seem to be any principles that really support the subdivision, and lots of principles that are against it, so it's pretty hard to...
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Trainer.
I understand why the church is looking to do this, but I think given where the property is, that there's possibly opportunities to lease to a farmer. I don't think that all of those choices have been explored yet. And as well, there's a community garden on it right now, and I think maybe there's some potential there. So I think some more discussion needs to happen.
Thank you. Councillor Peak.
My questions directed to the planner were the possibility of that lot being divided, but then the option that it could be agricultural land. I certainly understand the discussion in terms of it not being subdivided at this point. I do have some concerns about the fact that we need to perhaps encourage these kind of situations to have a philosophical discussion with us before they pay their money to come for an application that is likely not to be approved. I think that there are some opportunities there, but certainly that the church has some, perhaps could do some background work about who might be interested in the land in the format that it now sits. But I would like to encourage that we have some of that philosophical discussion with landowners and institutional in particular in these kind of situations.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I don't believe there's an opportunity now, Mr. Wall.
Sorry?
I don't believe there's an opportunity to speak any further. All in favor? Thank you. Motion is carried as is, none opposed. Thank you very much. We do need to have additional discussions, because I certainly understand your difficulty, and so we'll see what further might be initiated. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to 11.2. CEO, is that still within Development Services? Looks like it
I
might be.
think we have this one being, are you introducing this topic? What did Alex, Mr. Condor in the background there, what did we decide it would be?
I can explain it pretty straightforward.
So sorry, Melanie, were you planning
Melanie-
on, I believe you were planning to present? Oh.
You gotta take off that jacket.
Alex is here as a
In case we start
a
throwing
volunteer.
swears at us particularly.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Melanie come up and stand with you? She's
Sure.
come in.
This is still easier than putting my two kids to bed, so that's kind of why I'm here. We are representing the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative. It's kind of a loose partnership at this point between the district, Interior Health, and a few citizens. I'm sorry for the long resolution in your guys' admin report. The request is fairly straightforward. We're just asking council to apply for a $5,000 grant on behalf of the Summerland Healthy Community Initiative. If you have any easy questions, direct them toward me. If you have any difficult questions, direct them toward Melanie.
And just to supplement that, council will recall back about, I'm not even sure how long ago now, maybe 8 months ago, that we did pass a resolution to support the healthy, committee, and have been working closely on a number of initiatives with them.
Thank you.
I guess we should talk about what we want to use this grant money for. This grant money has to be tied toward a specific project. So right now, tentatively, our idea is to do a free film night in the district where we would rent the theater, have some kind of film related to healthy communities, and the idea would be it would be some kind of outreach exercise to garner more support for hopefully more projects in the community and educate the public about what it means to be a healthy community, because that can be almost anything. It could be anything from community gardens to tobacco reduction to fitness. So what we're asking for is for the district to apply for this grant on our behalf and then designate this money for this specific project. And we would have to outline this exact project in those application forms. So once that grant was approved, we wouldn't have any flexibility to change our mind and say use it toward a community garden. But the idea is that we're a relatively new group here. We're here to stay. This is just the first of hopefully many projects. And I'd be more than willing to volunteer either as a member of the committee or as a staff member to report back to council in 6 months' time of how things are going.
Councillor Barkle and then Councillor Booth.
Would there be a consideration or an opportunity to have these movies down on the waterfront? I'm thinking of what Penticton's done in the past, where they had the beach blanket movies or whatever they.
Yep. That's something we've talked about. Other cities have called it guerrilla drive-in theater, right, where you kind of have an outdoor theater where you could do that. All possibilities are open. The main goal is to get a film night, get the community out there, get people talking about what it means to be a healthy community in Summerland.
But the committee will finish there. It'll be up to the committee to determine those.
That's right.
Councillor Booth, did you?
Yeah, just a real quick one. The Plan H program, that's provincial funding?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Councillor Trainer?
I was just going to add that we had also discussed earlier, I sit on this committee as well, at the end of each film, we would have a panel discussion. So people that attended would be able to participate in this and talk about what the movie was about and how it relates to Summerland, or how we could maybe incorporate some of the themes into our town. So it's not just the movie, it's also a discussion afterwards.
Yeah, and some of the exciting part of doing this is the idea we could maybe partner with some of the existing groups in Summerland that are actually doing things, or are already doing things. We had a philosopher cafe event that we participated in. We actually, I shouldn't say we, because it's mostly Melanie and Joanne and the other members who actually got up and spoke and facilitated the event. And what we heard, I think we had about 40 people there who were fairly interested in what it meant to be a healthy community, and we're also doing their own things a little bit, and I think there's a lot of chance to kind of have some overlap there.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, somebody like to bring that forward as presented rather than reading the whole thing off? Councillor Trainer?
I'll bring it forward as presented.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Booth? Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
As presented.
It's a
Motion's
great
carried.
partnership.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we're dealing with 12.1, the public process around the Trans-Canada Trail from Bathville Road to Foley. CAO?
That we'll have Ian McIntosh speak to.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, there's been a couple of meetings initiated by the RDOS, that's the Regional District of the Okanagan-Similkameen, and essentially the Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations that we call FLNRO. And there's been lots of talk about conflict on the Trans-Canada Trail between Bathville, which is just out past the landfill, and out towards Falder. And right now that's a multi-use trail, and there's been use conflicts mostly between motorized vehicles and either equestrians or pedestrians. And because the trail is generally not immediately on the trail bed or rail bed, there's a few narrow points where it's tight up against Trout Creek, and there's been some fencing and other issues there. So the RDOS and the province have been taking complaints on that section, and it's now come to the forefront, and so the provincial government has essentially offered, along with the RDOS, to have a stakeholder process to try and see if they can resolve these use conflicts. And the District of Summerland has been invited along with the PIB and the other stakeholders, because the first portion at the bottom of the slide there is within the District of Summerland boundary, and there's portions of it that also fall within the PIB lands. So the RDOS and the provincial government are prepared to undertake this process, but they would like to know that the District of Summerland is supportive and would participate in the process. Provincial government has suggested that they will pay the cost of the process, and depending on what improvements need to be done, they would fund those as well.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Councillor Carlson?
So if the district participates in this, is there an opportunity for someone like Mr. Seelman to give input, or as he requested, or is that something that we would have to listen to him before and take his information with us?
Ian might have something to add, but I do know that I've asked on the 2 meetings that they've had so far, whether it would be appropriate to have Mr. Silliman attend, and at both of those, they've said it was preliminary, but that he would have the opportunity. Mr. McIntosh, do you have anything at?
Yes, it'll be an extensive stakeholder engagement process, including relevant groups as well as members of the public, and the only reason that hasn't been done so far is the provincial government didn't want to give the impression that they were going to involve all these folks unless the main government bodies are supportive.
Okay.
But should it move forward, they definitely would be consulted.
Councillor Booth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question for Ian as well. First of all, do you have the little laser beam thing there?
I have my mouse, but I don't have a laser beam.
Okay, that's okay. So, following the yellow pathway there.
Yes.
Part of it is, can you show me where the District of Summerland kind of land ends?
Yes, the boundary, the Summerland district boundary is this red line here.
Okay.
So that is the.
So right there.
That's, yes.
And then, is the remainder partially PIB land and partially Area F of RDOS, or?
I believe so. I'm not exactly sure where the PIB lands go exactly, but I know it covers both.
Okay,
So this, I believe this portion, part of this portion is PIB land, and then it goes to district or Area F after that.
RDOS, okay. Thank you.
Okay, was there somebody else that's going to, any other councillor was asking anything? Councillor Peak?
We would only be discussing the portion that we have contribution on, or do we discuss the whole thing when it becomes a public input session?
All stakeholders will be discussing the entire length, because it wouldn't be appropriate in the provincial government's mind to only do a portion of the trail, but they don't want to start again unless all governments are supportive. But the theory is everybody gets to discuss the whole trail, come up with a consensus as to what will be done, and then they all support whatever that consensus is.
And is there a time frame on this? Because I can't remember, I did read it.
They want to get started as soon as possible, and then it depends on how long the process goes. One of the examples has been the KVR trail in Naramata, and that took quite a while to sort through. So I don't expect it would be a quick process, but they're hoping to get underway immediately.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Booth?
Just to comment, I know that Mr. Seelman and the Trans-Canada Trail people have been talking about this for some time, like months, years. So it would be a great opportunity, I think, for the district, Area F, RDOS, and the Penticton Indian Band to actually have a public process consultation on this. It would be a good kind of exercise for us, especially because trails are such a big thing, and this is a little bit of a contentious issue, and if we just air it all in the public and everyone has the right to contribute to the discussion, I think that would be excellent.
Yeah, I think it's been, more than contentious, but it's something that needs to be dealt with as soon as we can, because there's a lot of user groups that would certainly like to have this resolved. And the other thing I think you may be alluding to is that I think this kind of cooperation between the groups mentioned is a good template for other discussions we may get into down the road. So I'm looking at this process, and I'm hoping that Summerland and the groups in Summerland will make good use of this process and move it forward in sort of a fair and equitable way. So would someone like to bring that that motion forward, please? Councillor Traynor.
I move that the District of Summerland participate in a public process led by the Regional District and the provincial government to manage the use conflicts on the portion of the Trans-Canada Trail between Bathville Road and Falder.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Traynor?
I just wanted to say that I attended the BC Trails AGM, I think it was about a year ago, and this issue was huge, and it took up quite a portion of the meeting. So I'm really glad to see that the province is finally stepping forward and bringing everybody to the table. I think that this is long overdue, and this is happening all over the province. So if they're willing to help us in our area, we need to jump at this. And I think that the more that we can all talk together and sit down at the same table, the better, because I've been on this trail before when there's been conflicts, and it's not fun. So if we can all kind of get on the same page, I think it will help us a lot.
Thank you. I know we had a bit of a discussion quite a few months ago now where some of the user groups and the CEO and myself were in a meeting, and actually it was quite impressive. The groups were very good in their discussion, and I think it bodes well for what may occur in this process. Councillor Peak, did you have a comment?
I'd like to
Question?
just say here to Councillor Trainer's remarks, and I believe most of council was at that AGM. It really was very illuminating to hear the remarks from the people that live along that area. I think this is a good time to be doing this.
Thank you. Did you have a comment,
No.
CEO?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. None opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So we're moving forward to 12.2. Pardon me? Okay. CAO?
So for quite some time now, we've been telling council that you'll be bringing a report about the Garnet Valley Water Separation Project and the grant funding that we received. As council's aware, Mr. Johnson was has only been on staff now for a month.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So it's taken him this time to work with his staff and become up to date. So he's going to go through a couple of the main points today. We're not asking for a lot of resolutions. As you read through the report, you would have noted that over the next coming months, there'll be a number of reports coming, all which will be decision points along the way that council will be needing to consider. The intent of this one is to give you the overview of the magnitude of the project coming up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, just want to run through a quick update where we're at with the project, touching on a number of items, including scope, project team, budget, current project status, a few considerations and risks, a communication strategy, and then the proposed project schedule. So with regards to the project scope, as you're well aware, it's a separation of domestic water from irrigator water in the Garnet Valley and Jones Flat West areas. Attached to the report is a drawing 1, which shows kind of the project limits. With this, there'll also be some modifications that would eliminate any interconnections between or cross-connection issues that are present in that area. There's a list of the project scope as far as the items that we're looking at, about 9.3 kilometers of various size water mains, a number of service connections and air release valves, a booster pump station, as well as restoring the road, including a bike path along that stretch. So with regards to the project team, looking at a steering committee and a project management team. The steering committee would be comprised of the CAO and all directors to kind of oversee the project on a high level, providing input from their various perspectives and the backgrounds that they bring, looking at the budget and schedule, making sure that we're staying on task with those, reporting to council as required, and then issuing any communications on the project that is required along the way. The project team would be comprised of myself, the director of finance, as well as the manager of works and manager of utilities, and one or both of our engineering techs that we have within our department. This group would look at facilitating the procurement process for both the engineering services as well as construction, looking to oversee the completion of the design for the project, preparing and administering the tender, as well as managing the construction process and assisting with the communications throughout the project. In addition to this, staff's recommending that a consultant be retained on the district's behalf to look at managing the project on a day-to-day basis. This could include engineering overview, site inspections, and contract administration. There's a couple different ways that this can be carried out. It can be with the the engineering consultant that was retained to do the detailed design could continue on carrying out all of those tasks throughout the project. Could be a third party that would be given specific responsibilities throughout of that stage of the project, or it could be a combination of both. And this is something that one of the items that's going to need some further discussion, and we'd bring back some more information to council when we discuss that further internally. The project budget that was included in the report is from the approved funding application. And just to note that the Build Canada Fund amount that's in there, $4.5 million, about 2/3 of the project is funded through that program. As far as project status, Focus Consulting did about a 90% detailed design as part of the application for the funding. There were some components and some items that weren't completed just until the grant. Once we heard back on the grant funding, which we have now, those could be carried forward. There was some costs that were associated with some items, and it was deemed that they weren't justified to do them as part of the grant application, so they're held until now. As far as the detailed design, with the change in the senior staff within my department, with me coming to the department with a changeover with one of our engineering technicians, that's now been resolved, and now we're moving forward with the RFP for the engineering design as we speak. Looking to bring back a report to council in March as far as the award of those services. Another component that was previously brought up, I believe, was environmental assessment. We've engaged Columbia Environmental Consulting to complete this. We're expecting that report by the end of the month. That would identify any mitigation measures that would be required during construction, and that would be included in the tender documents of the project. Fortis BC clearance is an item with regards to the gas mains that are located along that stretch of road as well. Locates have been completed as part of the design. It's to ensure clearance between the water main and the gas main is at least 2 meters. There are some costs that may be incurred with Fortis BC employees on site during construction periods when we are near the gas main on that stretch. But we're currently in ongoing discussions with Fortis BC to confirm what those costs to the district would be. Another item is the First Nation consultation. Back in December 2014, there was an initial notification letter that was sent to the PIB, and we haven't heard back yet, so there'll be a follow-up letter that'll be completed before we tender the project. Land reserve requirement. This was brought up that a lot of the project is adjacent to agricultural land reserve, but staff has confirmed that this doesn't trigger any special provisions or approvals through consultation with the Agricultural Land Commission. Agricultural sites is another item. There is a small known archaeological site on the east side of Garnet Road near the north end of the project. There's 2 options on how we can deal with this. We can either go ahead with an assessment during the design process, or we can choose to deal with it through construction. So when we're nearing that site, we could have an archaeological consultant on site to mitigate the construction through that zone, and if there is anything that is discovered or encountered, then we can deal with it on site. So yeah, there's kind of the 2 ways that we're looking to do that. Staff's recommending, or staff will be looking into these 2 options, and we'll be bringing forward, or it'll be included in the tender documents on how we decide to proceed with that. Now looking at some of the considerations and risks that were identified. Scheduling of the construction activities. This was regarding with timing of the work, access along the roadway, and the hours of work. And staff will report to council to review the details of the construction schedule and access plan early during the finalization of the detailed design. Land acquisition is another component that needs to be looked at further. There are sections of the road that do lie on private property. And further work with the affected landowners will be initiated shortly to carry through on that process. Last one, I believe, is the bicycle path design. It's an integral part of this project, and it's been identified as from council as being a high priority. And with that, there'll be 3 options that have been identified that we'll be looking at. A shared vehicle bike pathway where each of the driving lanes is widened to 4.5 meters to accommodate cyclists on either side. Option 2 would be a dedicated 1.5 meter pathway on one side of the road. We had noted here the east side of the road with the slope issues that would be on the west. Or having 2 dedicated pathways, a 1.5 meter pathway on either side of the road. So those will be looked at further as we start on the detailed design process to finalize that up, targeting for a March 29th council meeting to bring back information on those options. Communication strategy. project like this, it's of the utmost importance that we're communicating to all stakeholders, whether it's the public, the residents along the stretch, council, staff. So I'm proposing to bring forward a communication strategy that just outlines kind of the expectations, or confirms that we capture the expectations of council as we go through this project, and have it just captured on one document that we can refer back to as we go through it. So it would look at identifying anything such as open houses, routine project updates, whether by email, newspaper ads, social media, on our website, any updates in our monthly newsletters, our utility, through the utility bills, or any hand-delivered notifications. Lastly, on the project schedule, included in the report was a proposed general timelines for the project. As I noted earlier, the environmental assessment, looking to complete that in February, carrying through on the RFP for the engineering consultant in March. Noting about 3 months to finalize the design, so that would be April through to June. Looking to tender the project in July, awarding it in August, and then currently proposing a September 2016 to September 2017 construction period. The details within that construction period, we'd be looking at further discussions with council on those details to look at access plans and things of that nature during the finalization of the detailed design. So that concludes my report to council. As noted here, I look forward to the successful completion of this project, being one of the first major ones that I'm a part of with the district. And if there's any questions, I'll be willing to take those now.
Thank you, Chris. Councillor Peak.
I would like to commend staff on the details of the report. It's extremely well written and certainly easy to go through. As you said yourself, this is the first major project that this council will have overseen. It's very important that the communication strategy be a good one and that we listen to the residents that will be serviced during the time of this disruption. So I'll be interested in seeing when that comes back to us as well. I think that there's so much detail here that I don't really have any specific questions. Thank you very much, Chris.
Councillor Barkle.
Coming from Alberta, has anybody brought your attention to the Auditor General's guidelines on capital projects that we have in BC?
Yes, CEO Tyan has made me aware of those for sure.
They're pretty detailed, and I wouldn't want to. They're not the Bible, are they?
They're not the Bible at all, but they're best practices, and they're good review for any of us.
You know, I went through this report quite closely, and you know, this is I was quite impressed with the detail, and as Councillor Peak mentioned, you know, one of the critical things that was missing in some of our earlier projects that had the fortune of whatever that was, good or bad, involved in, was communication with the public, communication of impacts on businesses, and so on. And I think that's going to be a very high priority when it comes to disruptions. I think we won't necessarily, well, I think, I was going to say businesses, but this, you know, there are a lot of farming operations in that area, and they have priorities with regard to production and timing and moving of vehicles, etc. So I think it's going to be, you know, important to maintain good contact with all those folks and allow for, you know, the necessary access and to blend it with your operations. So,
Thanks,
you know,
Peter.
we had a tremendous.
Appreciate
Yeah, I don't. I wasn't looking for any kudos, but Councillor Carlson is going to be going back and forth a lot. So, but she's just going to have to figure out how
Got to get a drone to hitchhike on.
At any rate, I appreciate your report. It was very comprehensive, and thank you very much. Council, would somebody like to bring that forward to be received for information? Councillor Peak.
That the report on Jones Flat and Garnet Valley Water System Separation Project update submitted by the Director of Works and Utilities on February 22nd, 2016 be received for information.
Seconder. Councillor Traynor, thank you. All in favor? Thank you.
Yay!
Thanks.
We're here.
Okay,
We're here.
thank you, Mr. Johnson. We're moving ahead to 12.3, 216 irrigation rates from the Water Advisory Committee. I think we have the chair present. Jeez, Richard.
He's been sitting for
You need a massage now, dude.
Does that mean everyone needs to stand up?
I'm Rich McDonald, Chair of the Water Advisory Committee. I don't have a lot to say because you've already got the report. Rather than read it out, I'd like to say that I think we've met 10 times in the last 4 months. Staff suggested a schedule. We've had these meters, irrigation meters, in 5 to 10 years, mostly about 10 years now, and they haven't been implemented. So we set up a timeline basically to bring something to the council by February 22nd tonight in order to get it through, to implement something by for the 2016 irrigation season. The proposal, the recommendation that we put forward is not that much different from the last proposal staff put forward to council in 2011, I think was the last one. The difference, they recommended an allocation of 700 millimeters per season. Ours is 800, based on stuff in your report. And we have a incline block rate suggestion that's more of a hammer at the end. It's a very steep rate if you go over. So I'm sure you've got, I'm here to answer questions rather than
Sure, of course.
on both sides.
Yep.
You burn a lot of midnight oil.
Councillor
I would
Carlson.
go by.
Councillor Carlson?
Rich, I'm just wondering if a very similar proposal came forward in 2011, do you know why that wasn't implemented at the time?
I have no idea.
But it did.
I was just rooting through some stuff.
It came to council as a.
June 8th, 2011.
Okay, so this is.
I think that was the last one, and that was about the same time they brought in the domestic plan too, and this was shelved. But that's irrelevant. I didn't, in the report purposely, didn't bring up survey results. We obviously looked at the surveys and chewed over all the comments and stuff. I was advised by, I had a lot of help from staff preparing the report, because I've never done a report for, but not to get into different models, just present our model. Don't bother getting into one versus the other. So I focused it just on the one model.
Thank you. To sort of respond to that a little bit with respect to...
Oh, you were here.
I was, well, no, it wasn't quite, was I? I was sort of in between employment opportunities. But at any rate, the discussion got quite convoluted on, and really it got bogged down is what it came down to. And that domestic rates weren't resolved at the time, and ultimately it was up to the next council to delve into it more deeply, and we're finally getting down to irrigator rates. It took a long time. Some domestic issues had to be...
We had a lot of spirited discussion.
Pardon me?
We had a lot of spirited discussion in the 10 sessions we had.
I'm sure you did.
Coming
I
to
understand
the decision.
Councillor Carlson and then somebody else, I think, as a
So
councillor.
you've probably done your homework to figure out what the rate per acre of water is throughout the valley. I'm just wondering how the suggestion here at 130 something it compares to.
We didn't make any. This is a rate structure.
It's not-
We purposely never put any dollar figures on the amount. That's up to staff and council to decide what the rate is going to be. This is just a rate structure.
Okay.
So part of our recommendation is to absolutely ensure, ironclad, that costs are covered.
That's, I guess, what I'm getting to.
The funding, yeah.
I think
So that's gonna depend from community to community. Right now, it's $144 an acre. That covers costs. Upon review for 2016, it could be 175. Could be, I don't think it'd be lower, but
I think you're basically saying, Richard, that the recommendation the committee's brought forward leaves that as a framework that staff will work with, if I'm not mistaken.
They would
They'll
apply
make-
the rate
Yeah.
to the
That's
rate
correct.
structure because they have all the inside information of
Yeah.
what rate should be applied.
Yeah. The only hard number in there, which is a science-based number for this area, is the 800 millimeters, as far as I understand.
800 millimeters, and actually in the surveys, 85% of the respondents thought 800 millimeters or above was a good number to use.
Yeah, I think it's a starting point. No need to get further into it, but climate change may have an impact on the development of that number over time. So, thank you very much. Any further questions from council of Mr. McDonald? Councilor
There'll be some
Barkle?
questions.
Yep.
I just want to say thanks for all your hard work. I know that you guys have had a lot of, like you said, spirited discussions and you know, and staff too did a lot of work putting the open houses together. 2 open houses with a lot of displays and there was a lot of work even just deciding what to put up for the displays and then getting all of that ready and then having to be there for quite a few hours. So thanks to everyone. And we're finally, after about 8 years, maybe going to move one step closer.
Yep, no, I think we've.
So there's no
got-
questions at
got
all
the
on,
framework, I think we've.
I can't believe there's no questions on how we came up with things.
Well, I think the one question that I would have about your recommendation is, and this is, I think, one of the concerns of our CAO, is the notification process that you mentioned here in 2 of the bullets. And I think it may be worthwhile to have you indicate what that means, because you know, it could be onerous on one interpretation, it could be far less than onerous on others.
I believe that no matter what rate structure you eventually decide on, a notification process is going to be something that should be done. You need, right now, there's already a notification process that comes out once a month so people know what they have, what their rates are.
What
But
their,
when you,
what
but
their
when you
use
come,
pattern is, you mean?
but when you come to that, close to that 800, we thought that they should be told that you're getting really close to getting that incline block where you're going to be paying a lot of money when you're over that, to make sure everybody knows, make sure you don't have a valve open or whatever.
Yeah,
That once they hit that thing, they know that they're there, or they're getting close. Maybe at 700 mils or whatever, they get a notification. I don't know how that notification worked, email, phone call, a visit, whatever.
I think the opportunity is there for, you know, putting out monthly readings.
Well, the monthly
opportunity is
readings are
there.
already going out. But
Yeah, I know, but
just to make sure, we actually preferred another hammer in there, but we pulled it out. But
I understand.
just to know, people, the objective is not to make money on this thing. The objective is to stop people from overconsumption.
I think if to sort of coin a phrase from, you know, management practices, I look at this as a potential move towards good management practices of water, so that, you know, when we put out indications of use on a monthly basis, then I think there can be individuals flagged that are getting close, as you say, and that can go along with that notification perhaps and indicate that they're getting close. And I think once staff is or has been able to adjudicate this and go, you know, start planning for what the incline block would be looking like, then everybody will understand fully what it means to be getting close to your allocation. So I don't think it's, you know, it remains to be seen whether staff finds this as an onerous thing, but I can see that there's potentially making use of email and so on to make sure people are notified. And even following up.
There is a situation you could run into if a parcel happens to be leased out.
Yeah.
And it depends, you know, if you notify the owner, but the owner's not operating it, and the operator's paying the funds, so it may some sort of.
It has to go both ways.
Yeah.
In terms of the actual operator has to understand what's going on as well. So, Councillor Barkle.
Just this is a one step towards wise water use. To remind council, at one presentation, Don Darling gave us some numbers on the irrigators that were the bad apples in the bunch, so to speak, and I think there was 8 that used double the allotment, and one person who used 3 times, like 2.4 meters of water on his property. So, if he starts using it that fast, he's going to need notification if he's not paying attention. I mean, these are just outrageous numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a limited number to operate with. I think over here, Councillor Holmes and Councillor Peak.
Yes, thanks, Richard. This is a very educational report. I think, however, we need to hear what staff comes to us with before we're able to make a kind of an educated decision on how to proceed. Personally, I see, I don't know enough about it, and your recommendations on the surface sound good to me, but I think we need to hear what staff comes to us with, and so I'd just like to ask staff what is the process in terms of with the public input that we've had and everything. Where are we at with that, and what is the next step?
Council would have the option either of accepting the recommendation tonight as it's been presented or directing it back to staff to do further report. At this point in time, we haven't followed up. If council does decide they want to do further public process, the timing, I believe the situation is that it wouldn't be able to be implemented for 2016. So the rates wouldn't be able to be implemented for this year. So that's, I think, so it would, we've provided that information on how much public input we've received so far. It's up to council to determine whether or not they feel that that may be enough at this point in time or not.
Yeah, I look at this recommendation as looking at the the Water Advisories Committee's recommendation. If we accept this, then staff can use this recommendation to develop the actual rates of water per acre, for example, plus the incline block. I think that's where it's important for us to understand that we need staff's input on costs and so on, that they're reflected in those rates. But the base of what we have here is a recommendation. In large measure, actually represents the science-based information that there is there for plant and tree needs and so on, and crop needs in this area. And so the other bullets here are around the process of making sure that people are cognizant of the amount of water they're using, and if they go over, then the incline block will start to have an impact. And I think as far as I'm concerned, I would be voting, for this recommendation, and then for staff to proceed with this recommendation and develop the rates, and whether there needs to be a new per acre rate for this year that may reflect some increased costs is one thing. But I think the one thing that's been lacking, because we've always had that, which has been increased over the years based on perceived costs, but we've never had the ability to address overuse through an incline block approach once you hit that 800 millimeters. So the notification process will allow staff to warn people that they're getting close, and that, for example, say someone hits that in July, if they don't get told, they're going to be out of water and nothing for the balance of the season. So we don't want that to happen. So it'll be a matter of proper notification and follow-up, and I can see over time some education process will need to be undertaken perhaps with irrigators to have them understand what's going on. Councillor Barkwell and then Councillor Holmes.
As far as the public consultation aspect of things go, I'm very satisfied that we've done as much as we can do. We've had a couple of open houses. I have to admit there wasn't a great deal of interest, but the effort was made. Our council struck a committee to look into it in the sort of detail that council would not be looking into it themselves. And I would certainly support and vote for this recommendation rather than send it out for yet another year of study, because that's what you're going to have.
Councillor Holmes?
I guess my question is, I understand everything you're saying, and I don't have any problem with it. But what I don't get here is, are there any staff concerns? Are there any, what's staff's take on this, since they're going to be carrying out these processes and this work?
I think that ultimately the staff and the committee work collaboratively on this. The process maybe was carried a little different than if it was a staff initiative, but in the end, as I think it's stated in the report, that staff doesn't see any reason why it couldn't be implemented, and that it is certainly a model that, as the mayor points out, is has scientific basis behind it, and the staff recognizes the input that the committee got from a number of different individuals. So we do believe that it's a model that will work within the system, and don't have any other reservations other than the ones that we outlined in the report, that were just purely for discussion to make sure that awareness was raised, but not to suggest that the model wouldn't be perfectly satisfactory.
Thank you. Councillor Peak?
I'm a neophyte in this, so perhaps, Mr. McDonald, you could answer a question for me or just elaborate on the establish an inclined block fee structure for over-allocation consumption. Could you simplify that for me?
So once you hit this suggested 800, the rate we had suggested in the meeting, but of course it can change, would be, it would be 11 cents a cubic meter for the first 500 cubic meters over, then 16 cents a cubic meter, then 21 cents a cubic. It would go up 5 cents a cubic meter for every 500. So inclined meaning every time you hit a certain, I use that just as an example, but every time you hit a certain unit, it would keep going up and up and up and up and up. So you would potentially be paying a lot of money if you're using a lot of water.
The escalation would provide a deterrent for someone to have got to that point.
Oh, yes. Most definitely.
That's the theory.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's the idea, yeah. And I think, Councillor Carlson, please, or were you entirely finished?
I wasn't quite finished.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If I might.
Yep.
I make reference to the letter that's received on page 99 and the statement, because I thought that this was an opportunity, and I'm not sure how it might fit. And so it was a suggestion that all properties larger than 1 acre should also receive the subsidized irrigation water if the property owners can prove they grossed $2,500 or more the previous year. And they would provide receipts on their income declaration to be able to prove that. Is that integratable within the system if this is adopted?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Or try to answer that?
I don't know what to ask.
Our initial, what we were trying to do for this meeting was A, come up with a rate structure, and B, come up with the whole scenario of under 2 acres and under that don't have meters. We haven't got there.
Okay.
And so we're only dealing with basically parcels. This particular thing right now only deals with the rate structure of the people that already have the blue boxes. And it doesn't deal with the definition of who's on the irrigation roll. It's just, if you're on the irrigation roll, here's a suggested rate structure.
Okay. Appreciate it.
So right now, the people that are in that situation between half an acre or 2 acres are being charged a flat rate because they don't have a meter. But we're presently chewing through different scenarios of how to deal with that. That's going to be a nasty one. Controversial one.
Oh, sorry, you finished, Richard?
Yes, sorry.
So,
oh, sorry.
No, that's
no.
Keep going. Go ahead, please.
the last thing that we want is 500 or 600 angry farmers. So I'm wondering if this doesn't work for them, or they don't like it, or they're not feeling like it was treated properly. So I'm wondering if there's been any thought towards if there is a backlash like there was towards the small acreage rate, or if this was something we try and then we report back at the end of the irrigation season. Was any of that discussed, and is that an option? Like a pilot?
Well, my own personal opinion is, this is just like the domestic model was tweaked after the first year or two because it didn't pay or didn't have that, so I can see no reason why this one couldn't be tweaked a bit to address some sort of issue,
Just
if
think
need
something
be.
we should
I think-
think about, because we want some foresight. We don't want to.
I think that's, you know.
I don't think,
Good idea.
if you look at the numbers, there's not that many people that should go over
No,
once
I
they realize
understand,
what's
but
happening.
You never know.
The big issue is that has to be addressed is that there are some parcels out there that have tried to get more water onto the, say for example, they have a 10-acre orchard that's planted, and 20 years, they only got 8 acres worth of water on the irrigation roll, but the whole thing's planted. So they're actually irrigating 10 acres with 8 acres of irrigation. That has to be addressed also sometime
I guess
because.
through this process, it may come up, the ones that don't have enough water.
Well, I think they've tried, in the past, my understanding is they've tried to get, many of these growers have tried to get on the irrigation roll, and it's difficult to get on. You can't get off and you can't get on.
And that was part of staff's consideration when we were talking about the public input of whether, when there was a recommendation crafted, whether or not, because we didn't get very many people out, that should be rolled out as a recommendation rather than something was done to get the input on it. But again, it's the timelines where it looks like it'll be implemented, and then as it perhaps needing some tweaking if we got a great response back.
Councillor Boot.
I think that in reference to Councillor Carlson's question about the tweaking, we had talked about that a little bit at the advisory committee, and it also is a consideration as we move through the anticipated climate change too, because there may be, with the lengthening of the season and hotter, drier conditions, I think there will have to be some tweaking. It was just a matter of when it will be. So I think that there would be, allowance for that. It's not set in stone.
Yeah, I think it's, over time is sort of a work in progress, because we're potentially looking at 10 to 30% increase in evapotranspiration rates over the next number of years, which will be an increase of demand. So, but that's not necessarily going to happen quick enough for us to. There may be tweaking in the meantime, but over the longer term is that we'll be looking at management practices to ensure good management of water and be able to meet those increased demands of climate change. Councillor Barkle?
The only real issue I think that remains, because I hardly expect too much complaints when things are pretty much the same unless you go over 800 millimeters, and that's not too.
Realistically, under good management, you shouldn't hit that 800 except on peak demand years. It shouldn't be an issue.
So it's not going to change too much for hardly anybody except for the real wasters, unless they choose themselves to stop wasting. And is the notification process, can we ask that staff and the committee come to us with a recommendation for that fairly soon, in time? Like,
I'm not so sure. What would council be looking?
Or would we be involved, or there's going to be some sort of notification? I presume was recommended that when you reach a point, you're going to, let's say you've hit 700 millimeters and it's the end of July. Somebody has to decide what those notifications will be.
No, I understand. I would just assume that that would probably be operational. I don't imagine that would have to come back.
And that's probably one of those things that would be tweaked. You would learn, again, no matter what model you'd have, something will happen. Something's going to happen. We know something will happen.
Yeah.
that you can't foresee, but
So that.
that's one of
leaving
those
that-
things that'll be tweaked, how that notification
I think
process.
that's something the staff will
We're
address
leaving
as
that
part of
staff's hands.
operations,
Okay.
yes. And I think it's, important to note that.
And incline,
okay.
and also into the, if there's a cost attached to it, if there's a staff cost to it, it could be somehow implemented into the incline, it could be factored into the cost of that incline block rate to cover it. An administration cost of some sort.
From the information I saw in the open house, there was only 2 years so far, 203 and 212, when the 800 was approached by most.
I think there were 64 over last year or something.
Pardon me?
I think there was 64 over last year.
There may have been individual properties, but generally speaking, the 800 wasn't reached in most
In a lot
the
of them,
general
yeah.
years. It was just 203 and 212 when a significant number of people reached the 800. Anyway, are we, any further questions? None? Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate all the effort and time, and it's been a considerable number of hours, and I have to say the same thing to staff. They've had a tremendous amount of time involvement, and it's been a big operation. So would someone like to bring the motion forward, please? Councillor Holmes?
I move that council supports the Water Advisory Committee's recommendation that the irrigation rate structure for irrigation water include the following: a base allocation of 800 millimeters of water per season, a per acre fee, a notification process to warn an irrigator when they get close to their base allocation, a notification process to both owner and operator if the base allocation is reached, and establish an inclined block fee structure for over allocation consumption.
Seconder, please. Councillor Booth, thank you. Any further discussion?
Just
Councillor
question for
Carlson.
Linda. So if this goes ahead, it becomes, the next step is through staff, and then we create a rate structure, we create a policy. What is it that we create?
That's right, we would go back and I would, and discuss it with the Director of Finance, and then the rates would come to council but in the same way that we're doing rates right now for the domestic
So
meters.
in order to change the rates, it has to come back all again and go
That's right.
through the process.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Just thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? CEO, do you have anything to add at all? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. None opposed. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, CAO,
Next item?
12.4.
12.4, Deputy Corporate Officer. This is a little bit of a housekeeping item in that, as council recalls, I was appointed as the deputy when we didn't have a manager of legislative services. The manager of legislative services, it's actually written in the job description that they're deputy corporate officer, but it's better to have a resolution because they do have signing authority in the absence of our corporate officer. So it's as it reads there, appointing Tricia basically as deputy corporate officer and taking me off of that.
I'll move that.
You shouldn't smile quite so wide.
You're glad to get rid of it.
Councillor Carlson.
I will move the motion as written.
Thank you. Councillor Booth, thank you. Seconder. All in favor? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you very much. None opposed. We're on to 13, new business. Yeah, 13.1.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, what do we have for us then?
Do you want me to
Yep.
introduce it?
Yep.
So council have had some conversations with the school district in regards to the school closures, and it became evident through our conversations that you actually have a number of items that would be worthwhile collating together and putting together in a presentation, letter, an official letter and presentation to the school board in regards to the impacts that the school, any school closures in Summerland would have. And so it's been recommended that we talk about putting together an official letter and also requesting a meeting with the school board to present those facts to them. They've heard some of them in piecemeal, but to amalgamate all the facts and items that you've had would be beneficial.
Oh, right.
I have, judging by the conversation that we've had before, I have sent council a proposed resolution that I would think encompasses the statement that we made previously, but that wasn't passed in a resolution, and the direction to amalgamate these ideas and thoughts, and request of a meeting with them further.
Okay, thank you. Each of us has a copy of that in front of them. Councillor Peak?
I really want to make sure that whatever we bring forward, that we clearly state that we are not in favor of school closures, whatever we do thereafter, because I think that's very strongly felt from this council table, but also from our constituency. I think it's very important to our community to not have school closures.
Right, and I think that that's in the proposed resolution. I think that states in there that council does not support any school closures. So that's noted.
Councillor Carlson?
If anyone wants a question, otherwise I'll move the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Great,
Okay,
go for it.
Councillor.
So how are we going to do this?
How are we going to do it?
How are we going to pull it all?
How to form the letter,
So
so.
let's bring the motion forward and then we can discuss. Okay.
Yeah? Okay. I will move that council pass the following resolution. Whereas the mayor and council of the District of Summerland have stated that a loss of a school facility is not consistent with their priorities for the future of Summerland, which focus on economic health, encouraging the development of land to increase available housing options, and the promotion of Summerland as a highly attractive community for families. And whereas enrollment projections provided by the school board are not congruent with council's vision for growth, therefore be it resolved that a letter to the School District 67 Board of Education summarizing council's concerns regarding the proposed school closure in Summerland be written, and further, that a meeting between Summerland Council and School District 67 Board trustees be requested for the purpose of presenting this information.
Seconder, please. Councillor Holmes, thank you. Okay, discussion. Councillor Holmes.
So how are we going to do it?
I would suggest, since we've got so many ideas, that maybe if there's selected councillors that would be willing to work with the mayor in putting together the statement, that you should just find it. It's difficult to do it as a big group.
I'll nominate Doug Holmes.
That was quick.
So perhaps Councillor Holmes and the mayor could.
I'll help him. I'm available over the next, not tomorrow, but after that, yeah.
Councillor Peak?
I think that the discussions we've had, and the most particularly the discussion we had last week, brought forward a lot of the consolidated concerns, and I'm sure that small group would be able to make that presentation within a letter format very well.
Very good. Councillor Trainer?
We had talked before about possibly sending something to the province as well. Would that come about later?
Typically, you would CC this letter to the Minister of Education, and then we were talking about potentially lobbying further for increased education funding, but that's separate and later. So, but you would definitely forward a copy of this letter to the Minister of Education.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, just moving forward, I would say, in terms of approaching the Minister of Education, not just increased funding in general, but recognition of communities such as Summerland you can't just throw them in the same bucket as larger communities. It's more, it's as much education policy, looking at all communities, thinking all communities are the same when they're not. So I think it's as much of the way they fund as certainly they could use more funding too, but it's how they allocate that funding is an issue. And that's something I think we need a conversation with the Minister of Education about.
So I think, obviously a number of municipalities and school boards are thinking along some of the same lines. I read quite a bit of information about the Vancouver School Board and the difficulties they're having in today's paper. And it's, very great concern of them. So we moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Passed. None opposed. Thank you very much. And thanks to the CAO for putting that together. And next, we're up for 14.1, street naming bylaw for adoption.
This is simply an adoption. We've passed 3 readings, and it's presented for adoption.
Council, somebody bring that forward, please. Councillor Boot.
I move that bylaw number 2016-003, Summerland Street Name Changing Bylaw 1655, 1975, Amendment Bylaw number 1 be adopted.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Barkle, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Because
It's in favor.
Yeah, I guess
you're in favor if you don't raise your hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I'd raise my
Okay.
hand.
Okay, the motion's carried, none opposed? Okay, we're moving ahead. Council reports. We'll start with Councillor Peak.
I didn't really do one. I've got so many notes on here, I can't read all the things I did. Other than I was appointed to go and accept the Heritage BC Award for the Fur Brigade Trail, and that was a wonderful event. There will be some official photographs that will be emailed to us, and I went to the Heritage Committee's meeting and thanked them for the opportunity to go and ask them for some advice on what I was to say. And the written piece that they had presented through their application was exceedingly well received, and I merely added on that to the end that after the awards were done and I was circulating with the crowd, there were many people that came up to me and said, "That sounds like an absolutely wonderful project, and I want to come and walk your trail." So I think it was a great one to attend, and it certainly was wonderful to be there. I do have a box of certificates, and I'm sure that we'll get those groups together and do a great photograph. Thank you very much for the privilege of going.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes.
Big excitement in the past week was that about 30 of us went to the Penticton Airport to welcome the El Shabak family, our Syrian refugee family that arrived here. So they've been in Summerland for a full week now, and so the past week's involved a lot of government paperwork. They've been opening bank accounts, doing their shopping, a visit to SOICS to start their English language training, a tour of the school. So this week the children are starting school in earnest, and the parents are starting their English language instruction at SOICS, and they're settling in and getting to know the community. And last night another family arrived. From the Catholic community in Summerland and Penticton jointly sponsored a family. They'll be residing in Penticton, and they arrived last night. So it's quite an exciting time. Last Wednesday, I also attended the skate park meeting that the mayor mentioned, and it's a very keen steering committee, and they're ready to get fundraising and start building. So that was exciting. And I also attended the Philosopher's Cafe that the mayor mentioned on Wednesday. That was incredibly well attended, and it was nice to see quite a different audience there. I think it was the subject matter, having different subject matter. A healthy community attracted a lot of people that would normally have come to that event. So it's nice to expose these established events to different parts of the community. This past Friday, the Cultural Plan Task Force had an all-day session. We were analyzing all our public input that we've received. That was quite an intense process, but we have we've got some people with excellent computer skills on their committee, some of our members, and Ian McIntosh as well. And between them, they've done some incredible work, which makes us looking at this data much easier to draw conclusions from, and we have a very good process in place where we're taking that forward. So we are working very hard. And finally, I just want to say on Saturday I attended the Arts Council AGM, and I was really encouraged to see how many people stepped up to sit on the board. They have I think the board must have quadrupled in size on Saturday. And specifically, all the member groups of the Arts Council nominated somebody from their groups to sit on the Arts Council board. So that was a really good development, and I think it's everybody's feeling much better about the Arts Council these days. So it's great. Yeah.
The biggest thing, I guess, that happened for me was I was at the Okanagan Regional Library Board meeting last week, and we adopted a new strategic plan for the library. Interesting, library use stats are up, especially online. I was thinking about it afterwards and realized that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that love free online digital media, and they're starting to realize perhaps that libraries have been offering that and continue to offer that to them. So that was pretty encouraging, and more users as well. Apparently in the Summerland Library, there were 15% more people using the library in January this year than over last year. So obviously, new location, new facility, people are getting out and using it more. So that was kind of nice. And I was appointed to the BC Library Trustees Association. So I get to go and hang out with a whole bunch of library trustees a few times a year, including a conference in May that's in Vancouver. So that should be interesting. It's kind of exciting because we have the newest library probably in the province, so we get to go and gloat a little bit about that too.
That's great, Councillor Boot.
Great. Kind of had a busy last couple of weeks too. February 11th, RDOS meeting. Attended the school district meeting, of course, school board meeting. We had a Chamber of Commerce breakfast meeting in advance of their strategic planning, hosted by the Chamber. Thank you very much, Christine. That was an excellent session. Strategic planning on the 15th. I attended the Mayor's Task Force meeting on February the 18th, and on the 17th, I didn't go to the Philosopher's Cafe because I went to see Mary Poppins instead. So if you missed Mary Poppins, you really have to go next year to whatever they put on. It is amazing that every year is just another level up. It was fabulous. So kudos to all of the people involved in that. And then on February 20th, I attended the Marginal Arts open house, talking about the Riga Festival. So a few things. I wanted to bring everyone's attention to this. I talked to Tammy Jackson, who is the owner of Tammy's Brush to Canvas on Main Street, and she has been instrumental in finally pulling this together. It is it's called Art Waves Okanagan. It runs June 1st to 5th of this year. It's being held at Okanagan College, and it brings together, can't remember how many, probably 20 different artists from across Canada, including some of our local artists, and they're putting on a whole series of workshops, and there's a trade show and everything all surrounding that. It'll be a huge draw to Summerland.
When is it?
June the 1st to the 15th of this year, and tried very hard to keep it even more local, but we just don't have the accommodations and the facility space. So that'll be great for the Okanagan. And a couple of other things. As the counselors know here, I lost my keys on the way to when I was walking my dog this morning. I did find them, but in searching for them, I had to walk through the field at the Summerland Secondary School. And I know that it was very snowy this year, but it's still no excuse for people that are using the park to walk their dogs, which I do all the time. Pick up after your dog, please. Come on. I mean, it's disgusting for the students that use that, never mind the rest of the community. So, please, pick up after your dog. And then one final thing, February the 23rd, which is Wednesday, please wear pink in support of bully-free. Sorry?
Oh, never mind.
Is it not the 23rd?
Yeah, sorry.
24th.
24th.
24th, sorry, it's on
Yeah, the
Wednesday.
dates- I was looking at the.
Yeah, it's on Wednesday,
I
so
seem to be
please wear
trouble if
pink for
tomorrow was
bully
the
free.
21st.
Thank you.
22nd. Like, oh no.
Councilor Barkle.
Well, you get to this far down the line, there isn't really anything
That's okay.
that hasn't been referred to already by previous councillors. I would like to mention that the KVR presentation was really, well, it was over-attended. It was standing room only, and it was quite interesting. It was about 2 hours long, I think. I stood the whole time, but it was worth it. Yeah, just a fascinating kind of a presentation. If you ever comes again, keep an eye open for it. And for anybody who's watching at home, we're having our next budget meeting on the 29th, right? And that's open to the public. When you can maybe come and attend and watch and see what sort of process we go through for the budgeting and see what sort of state of our finances are in. 9 a.m., Monday the 29th.
Thank you. Councilor Trainer.
I just wanted to mention that we are having our first Bike to Work Week meeting on Wednesday, February 24th at 12 o'clock at Good Omens, and we're still looking for some more people to help out. So it's not a big commitment. Bike to Work Week is the last week of May, and it's a really fun event. So if you've got a little bit of extra time, you can come and hang out with John behind the podium and myself, and we will put something together for that. The second thing is, now that the snow has melted, as you notice along the highway, there's a lot of garbage that's visible now. So the Trout Creek Community Association is moving up our cleanup, which usually happens in April. So we're going to do it in March now on the 19th, which is a Saturday, from 10 to 12. And anybody's welcome to come. And we provide garbage bags, courtesy of the district, and you just go and pick up garbage. And usually we get about 30 bags. And the district kindly picks up the garbage afterwards. But it's a very rewarding 2 hours because it makes everything look nice afterwards. So that's on the 19th of March. And then this Saturday night, I'm looking forward to attending the gala, the Chamber Awards. They're at the waterfront. And I'm not sure if there's still tickets. No? Sold out? Okay. Anyway, that's this Saturday. So that's it.
Thank you. Okay, any questions from the public, please, or comments? Nobody's jumping up? The other, okay, anything from the press? Susan, John, nothing? Okay, could I have a motion for adjournment, please? Councillor Boot, thank you. Councillor Peak, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, everybody.